Okay, let's get started. Firstly, I'd like to say a huge thank you for taking the time out to watch this 6 steps presentation. To find out what business coaching is, and more importantly, to take the first steps towards building a better business. One that generates more profit and gives you more time and freedom to enjoy it. Can I start by asking you a question, and one for you to ponder? Are you the business owner here today, or do you work for someone else? Maybe you own the business but wished you still worked for somebody else. Now, I don't know what's worse, whether you laughed out loud at my appalling joke or whether you selected an option. Being in business can be a tough gig sometimes. It's one of the loneliest jobs there is. My job as a high-performance business coach is to help you to develop a business in which you work less and make more. Now, this may sound like it's too good to be true. And you might well believe that if it wasn't for the fact that it's been done tens of thousands of times with businesses around the world, all of which using the ActionCOACH system. The system I'm going to share with you today. It's not based upon theory, it's based upon a constant process of testing and measuring and an evolution and innovation, and that process continues each and every day. And the great news is it works. Let me first start by introducing myself. Hi, my name's Steve Gaskell. I'm a high performance business coach. I first trained and learned coaching in the military, where I was appointed a master coach eventually. I've been coaching for over 20 years and for the past 10 years in the business world. I focus on coaching to unlock potential, be that in the owner, the executive or their teams, which in turn will increase performance and efficiencies in the business and absolutely improve organisational health. I must warn you, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and as the challenge coach you can expect me to stretch you and get you out of your comfort zone. I will not be stroking anyone's ego. So with that in mind, please allow me to be your coach for the next hour or so. There's 6 steps to growing your business. That's what we teach at ActionCOACH. It's a systematic methodology which we've been using for 28 years. It's interesting because when you look at how to grow a business, in reality, growth of the business has a set path. The challenge is that most business owners don't know the set path, and therefore their business doesn't grow. As business owners, we face a conundrum. We work for ourselves. Many people got into business the hard way. Maybe they lost their job and they thought, hey, I'll give this a go and employ myself. It can't be that hard. Maybe the previous boss was an absolute idiot and I can do a much better job. And then after a while you begin to realise that you're now working for another complete lunatic. Yourself. Because that's what happens. You end up working for the business and it traps you in a cycle. And it's that cycle that we're going to talk about today, and how to build a business that actually works for you. The reason you're working so hard is because your business is not working for you. You're doing the work. Most business owners are trapped by their business, effectively having a job in a company they own that doesn't allow them the freedom or the flexibility to enjoy their life in the way that they'd like. They end up working longer and harder than all of their employees, often for a lot less money and with all the risk. So how do you describe a successful business? Let's have a look. So this is how we define a business in ActionCOACH. A commercial, profitable enterprise that works without me. And it's the last 2 words which stump most people. See, most people go and buy a job, something which they keeps them busy for the rest of their lives. And then they wonder why 5 years later this business that they've bought or created isn't turning out the way they wanted it to. So let's break it down. Commercial and profitable. Well, most businesses don't do that. It might pay the owner a wage, but it doesn't make more profit. That works. Business owners have to work and have to work hard because the business doesn't actually work. It's the owner that works. So start with thinking of the business as an investment, not as a job, and you'll do much better. And finally, without you. At Action Coach, the whole aim of what we do is to get the business to do the work so that you don't have to. Not that it has to, it just gives you that choice. For example, if I could help you cut back on the number of hours that you're working in your business each week, would that be a good thing? Do you actually know how many hours a day or week you work? Have you ever thought about that? Most business owners just keep working as long as it takes. How would you spend additional time with your family, taking more holidays, taking up new hobbies or pastimes? You may even choose to start or set up another business. And these are the choices that freedom offers you. You see, the biggest problem in business is that a hairdresser will start what type of business? That's right, a hair salon. A plumber will start what type of business? A plumbing contracting business, and so on. The big challenge is that the hairdresser is so busy cutting hair and the plumber is so busy laying pipes. Who's running their business? Nobody. So what I'm going to teach you today is how to gradually, step-by-step process to get out of your business and start working on the business. Okay, let me talk you through it then. These are the Action Coach 6 steps to build a better business, a business that generates massive results. Each of these steps is simple but very powerful. At Action Coach, we have compartmentalized these steps into a pathway to building your business, which we've tested and measured through over 750,000 businesses across 80 countries over the past 28 years. So you could say we know it works. The first step is mastery, a mastery of your business. In other words, eliminating chaos. There are 4 elements to mastery: destination mastery, financial mastery, delivery mastery, and time mastery. You are no longer concerned about making payroll at the end of the month or paying bills. This is where we create a commercial enterprise. The second step is about cash flow and finding a niche or multiple niches for your products and services. Most businesses are not making enough money to really grow at a rapid rate. More money coming in means faster growth. You're now able to predict your cash flow by knowing your market, who your customers are, and how to profitably deliver products and services. Here is where your business begins to consistently generate cash for you. And this is now a commercial, profitable enterprise. The third step is leverage. And this is where we can start leveraging yourself out of the business and creating more time for yourself through developing systems. We define this as creating ever more with ever less. If we build in efficiencies and systems, it buys us back time. And there are 4 ways we use leverage: people and education, systems and technology, delivery and distribution, and testing and measuring. And now we have a commercial, profitable enterprise that works. The fourth step is team. Your team produces a structure for growth. You recruit and train the very best people and ensure that they are fully aligned with your vision, your mission, culture and goals, both personal and business. You now have the ability to take time off and trust that your team is managing your business for you. A general manager can be brought into the team to run the business. And now we have a commercial, profitable enterprise that works without you. It's now things start to get really exciting. And the fifth step is synergy. When everything seems to be clicking in your business and the output is greater than the inputs, you can now begin strategizing on the next stage of entrepreneurial activity. The business is now a well-oiled machine. Passive income can now be generated from the business, or the owner can choose to sell the business or franchise it or license it. The sixth and final step is investor. Once the business has got to this point, it's time for you to start looking at other businesses. Now is the time to buy, build and sell other companies, creating equity as well as cash flow. You are now reaping the rewards of business and investing in other businesses, or taking the time for your own personal growth. Of course, we need to get the first one finished first. These are the 6 steps to creating massive results in your business. Remember that to achieve massive results, you must take massive action. Let's look at each of these steps in more detail. Mastery. Most business owners will admit that their business is in chaos to some extent. They're not in control. They're in their business every day trying to catch up, trying to put out fires and to stay afloat. Never more so than now. But how many of you have found that more often than not your business actually runs you? Working too much, doing too many hours, but no sign of things ever letting up. There's always something to do. Sound familiar? Mastery is the commercial enterprise part of the definition of the 6 steps. Here's where we take your business from chaos to control. This is where we put the plug in. There's no point in turning the tap on if the plug's not in. There are 4 parts to mastery, which we'll explore now. Destination mastery. Do we need to know where we're going in order to get there? Yes, of course we do. But do we really know where we're going, both personally and business-wise? In destination mastery, we begin with the end in mind. Do you have any clear goals? If I ask the average business owner to show me their written business and personal goals, where is your business going? What's the vision? What's the mission? What does the business look like when it's finished? What are the goals for the next 90 days? What are your budgets, cash flow targets for the year? What are your measurements of success? I mean, what does success actually look like to you? What do you imagine is the response? Yep, usually silence, because most people don't have a destination written down. In reality, the goals of most business owners I talk to is, can I just pay the bills this month? And just think, if your only goal is to pay the bills, what do you think you're going to achieve? Yep, you may just end up paying the bills and not growing the business. If you don't know where you're going, how does your team know what these goals are and what's expected of them? Does everybody in the business see their future in yours? Financial mastery. This is not your P&L and your balance sheet. Those relate to historic performance. Financial mastery is about budgeting, forecasting and reporting. Here we're talking about leading financial indicators in your business, the things that create the results, not the things that are the results. Think lead generation, conversion rate, revenue per hour, client retention, resource utilization, etc., etc. Here's an interesting question. On average, what percentage of owners get a profit and loss statement at the end of each month and know how to make decisions about the next month? Well, it's only about 7%. Here's an even more vital number to know. Does anyone know at what time of the day their business breaks even? So as a business owner, it's typically about after 4 o'clock in the afternoon when you start making any money. Up until then, you've been paying your expenses and wages. Once we know this, i.e. how much money has to come into the business before we start making a profit, and the ultimate aim with the business owners is to get to this point here, we're then focusing on attaining maximum utilization. In other words, utilizing the assets in the business to generate maximum profit possible. To give you an example, think of the last time you went and got your hair cut. Were all of the seats in the salon being used or not? And if they're not, then it's not running at maximum utilization and they need to change the way that they're running the business. So what do you need to know to work out this? You need to know your numbers. So we work with business owners so that they are fully understanding of all their critical numbers. So financial mastery is not what you've done historically. What do you need to know to predict your profits for the next month? We'll come to some of these in a little more detail in a little while. Financial mastery is about taking care of several things. To find profit, we look at the cash gap in the business. This is the period between when you buy stock and pay wages until your customers pay you. This is why most businesses go broke, because they have to trade in an overdraft, but they've got a heap of money owed to them from other companies. So we look at multiple strategies to improve the bottom line of your business, and we examine how to improve cash flow. And cash flow is needed to grow. So financial mastery is about knowing your numbers and knowing how to improve these bottom line numbers. Do you think it is more important to improve the profit or the revenue of the company? Doubling your turnover if you're already trading at a loss is not going to help. So do you think that a business coach looking from the outside in is going to spot things which you may not? Yes, absolutely. Once we've clearly mapped out where we're heading, the destination mastery, we next focus on financial mastery. Why is that? Because we need to make sure that you're running at a profit. This is putting the plug in now. Now we move on to the third area of mastery, which is time mastery. So what is time mastery? This is about productivity. Business owners are always busy, but they are busy doing the right things. If financial mastery is about profitability, then time mastery is about productivity of you and your people you employ. Most business owners spend the majority of their time in these two areas, distraction and delusion. So they spend their life going and doing what seems urgent and important. But is it really? Have you spent a day rushing around like a headless chicken doing loads of stuff and got to the end of the day only to realize that you actually achieved nothing? That's what happens when you're in distraction and delusion. Our aim is to get you to a point when you're operating in demand. So you're only doing the things which actually make a difference to your business, and ultimately aim to get you into the zone where you are laser focused on planning and growing the business. Everything else is just noise. We can't manage time, we can only manage people. And we must focus on basic management techniques and leadership systems to build productivity. So for most businesses, when we start working with them, do you think we start with a long-term strategy straight away? No. Why not? Because they've got short-term needs, and these needs need to be addressed first. Delivery mastery. This is your customer's experience. How much does your customer experience reflect what you're actually doing? Does your process follow and deliver on your promise? Do your customers know exactly what to expect from you, and is it delivered consistently and predictably? When was the last time you asked your customers if they were happy? So how many of you have been into a nice restaurant because you saw a good advert or they sent you a nice flyer, but the food was awful? There's no point in doing great marketing if your product or service is delivered badly. Will your customers tell you the truth about your product or service? No, about 1 in 10 will actually tell you. Now, I'm not sure how true those statistics are, but I know that when I go from my own experience and I get a bad service, I don't always complain. What I do, I just go back and I'll probably share my experience with family and friends. May share on things like TripAdvisor, Facebook, Google reviews, and they'll also have an impact for you. Now the difference, when you put a coach into the mix, the coach is honest with you about how your service really is. So with many of my clients, I've done mystery shop to see what really happens and record what happens on the other end of the phone. Before we bring in new customers, we want to make sure that you can hang on to the ones that you've got through delivering a consistent, predictable service that represents value for money. That doesn't mean cheap, it means that they're happy with a fair exchange of value. So with all of these stages now in place, what we've actually achieved is what we call the mastery level. So we now know that if we put a customer in, we know they're going to get a decent service at a decent price, and we're going to make profit out of it. So wouldn't you agree that it's a good point to start at? Yes, I would imagine you would. Do you think there are business owners who'd be happy just to get to this point? I know there are. That's mastery. We now have a commercial enterprise. Then we go up to niche. Okay, niche is about creating predictable cash flow through effective marketing. This is where we look at bringing scalability into your business. At the mastery level, we put the plug in. Niche is where we turn the tap on. So here's a question for you. How many pages are there in your current written, and I mean documented, marketing plan? It's usually a fairly round number. For most businesses, it's around 0, maybe 1 or 2 pages at best. Why? Because they don't know how to write a marketing plan. They don't know, what marketing is and how to market. And I don't mean doing a few social media posts, I mean creating an actual plan. So here's a question. Do you want to put more into marketing or less into marketing? Those who say less are typically those who don't measure the output of their marketing in terms of revenues, as they don't have any way of tracking it. The more they put in, the more just seems to disappear. Those who put more in typically recognize that for you to make more money, you must invest more in marketing. But to do so based on testing and measuring. How many salespeople do we have on the call today, for instance? And interestingly, as business owners, in reality, we're all in sales at some point or another. Remember, if you believe in what you sell, you'll sell it well. The two most important words in business, and specifically in business growth, are test and measure. Why? Because it's the only way you'll make objective decisions. And decision making is it's essential in the process. If you learn anything from today, this secret that made Brad Sugars a multimillionaire is it. When I talk to business owners about growing the business, there are typically three numbers that they focus on. Steve, I need more customers. Steve, I need more revenue. And Steve, I need more profitability. I'm going to show you in a few minutes, a formula that's going to radicalize these numbers and show you that actually they're not as important as you may first have think. And why are they not important? Because they are just the end result of another 5 areas, and it's these 5 areas that are the most important areas in business. Yet when I ask the average business owner what the formula is, what it looks like, they have no idea. If you're going to write one thing down today, make sure it is this formula, and it goes like this. So number of leads, these are prospective customers that may walk into your business, call you, you call them, maybe you find them through the internet. However it is, you communicate with your prospective customers or leads. We then multiply that by your conversion rate, and that is the percentage of those that could have bought against actually bought. So if you had 10 people call you, and of that only 2 bought from your business, the conversion rate is 2 out of the 10, and so 20% conversion rate. But if you don't know these numbers, how are you supposed to improve them? So how many of you know exactly your numbers? How many leads came into your business last week, last month? How many actually called you or emailed you or communicated in some way with your business, in this last week? Who knows their numbers, and who knows them accurately? You see, that's the problem. If we don't know the numbers, how are we supposed to improve them? In ActionCOACH, we have 87 different strategies for lead generation. In the average business, how many different ways do you think you have of bringing leads in? Typically 1 or 2. And if you think about that, if you're only using 1 or 2 strategies to bring leads in, then how fast are you going to grow your business? Then we move on to conversion rate. Now at ActionCOACH, we've got 85 different strategies for improving conversion rate. So what we need to look for in all of these elements is, do you know your numbers? And do you have a clear strategy to improve them? One of the first things that we're going to do when we get started is to find out what these numbers are. We're then going to look at how much we need to improve them to hit your goals. Then we've got a plan. You see, it's simple really. When we can see what the numbers are now and what they need to be to hit our goals, we can actually design a plan to accurately make that happen. Then we look at the numbers of transactions, and this is about repeat business. How often do the customers buy from you over and over again? Some customers will come in once and you'll never see them again. Others may come in 10 or 20 times a year. But this is about the average number of times the average customer comes per year to buy from you. We have to get them coming back more often. And again, at ActionCOACH, we've got 68 strategies to increase the average number of times a customer buys from us each year. Then we have the average sale. We sit down and calculate on average how much are people spending. Now, some will spend £5, some 500. But it's the average that we're looking for. And again, at ActionCOACH, we've got 58 strategies for increasing the average sales value. Of course, as your revenues increase, you'd expect your profitability to increase. But at ActionCOACH, we have 67 different strategies for improving your bottom line profitability. But this is not just all about reducing costs. This is just one way of improving your margins. There are many ways to increase profit margins. The most basic of which is to increase your prices. Many business owners seem scared to do this, including many of my clients at the beginning of their journey. However, once they define the USP and add the guarantee and build a reputation for the quality and reliability with their customers, they're comfortable in paying that premium price as they see a greater perceived value. So let's put a few numbers to these to see how it works. And I'm going to run through these pretty quickly. So just give you an illustration. Say that last year we had 4,000 prospective customers come into our business, and let's assume that we sold to 1 in 4. That's a 25% conversion rate. So how many customers did we have? 1,000. Say they all came back and bought twice from us and spent £100 each time. That's 1,000 customers buying twice. That's 2,000 transactions at £100 each time. That gives us £200,000 in revenue. Now, just to make it really simple, let's say the business had a gross profit margin of 25%, which gives us a profit of 50,000. So why do you think I've highlighted those numbers in red? The customers, the revenue, and the profitability. The most important? Absolutely not. In fact, it's the exact opposite. They are in fact the least important numbers on this page. Now, you might be asking why that is, and you'd be right to ask. It's because they're the outputs, they're the results. There is an equal sign before each of them. The ones that we actually want to work on are those in blue. Leads, conversions, transactions, sales value, profit margin. At ActionCOACH, we've got 365 strategies to improve the bottom line. That's one for every day of the year. And how many of those does the average business owner actually know? Not many. Why? Because they're cutting their hair or building the fences or fitting kitchens or fabricating equipment. This is not typically where business owners focus their time and efforts, but it's where they need to. So let's take a look at how it works. If we were to take 4 or 5 strategies for improving lead generation, which we tested and measured, do you think we'd be able to increase our leads by 10% over the course of a year? Yes, absolutely we could. In fact, for most business owners, you'll see more than 10% increase just by measuring them. Let's take a look at what those numbers look like. So we're now getting 4,400 leads per year. Now we look at the conversion rate. Pretend that we've used 4 to 5 of the 85 strategies for improving our conversion rate and increase it to 27.5%. How many of you actually know your conversion rate down to the nearest decimal point, by the way? You need to know that number, as it will be roughly half of what you guess it to be. Once again, just by looking at what you're going to see, substantially improves. Now we're getting 1,210 customers. You can already see that there is a compounding effect. So now pretend that you use 4 to 5 of the 68 strategies for improving repeat business. And that's improved to 2.2 times per year on average. What are you going to get your past customers back? Well, here's the thing. How many of you have a database of customers that you've previously done business with? You need to write to them at least 90 days, once every 90 days, and ask them to come back and buy from you more often. Well, when was the last time that you wrote to a customer at all and thanked them for doing business with you? How would you feel if someone took the time to do that to you? Now, even if you're an estate agent and sell a house every 7 years, just write to them every 90 days to let them know that you're thinking about them. And when they're ready to move, who do you think they're going to call? Yes, you. Next is the average sale. So now pretend that you used 4 to 5 of the 58 strategies for improving your average sale value, which here has increased to £110. Just use the McDonald's example of do you want fries with that? We all need to have a do you want fries with that question. Why? Because 3 out of 10 people at McDonald's say yes to that question. So you can see that revenues have now increased to 46%. Now pretend that we've used 4 to 5 of the 67 strategies for improving profit and increase it to 27.5%. That gives us a total profit of £80,525.50, which is a massive 61% profitability in your company. Sounds interesting. This is one of those things that busy owners rarely invest their time to focus on, as they're so busy working in the business. But you can see how powerful it is to focus on these small but essential elements. What if rather than 10% in each of these areas, you could increase by 15% or perhaps 20%? Or maybe 15 in some and 20 in others? What would that look like in your business? So you can now start to understand why coaching pays for itself. You see, at ActionCOACH, we're one of the only coaching companies in the world that actually guarantees results because we pay for ourselves by using these strategies. If you join one of our coaching programs and have not at least made your fees back within 6 to 12 months, depending on the program, and provided that you do the work, of course, I'll give you the difference back. It's kind of a heads you win, tails you win scenario. That's how confident I am with the effectiveness of this system. Would you like to see what it looks like if we continue this growth over the next 5 years at 10%? Let's take a look. So once we've got niche worked out, we move on to the systems or the leveraged aspect of the business. Remember our definition of a business, the commercial profitable enterprise of the section of that description is dealt with within the mastery and niche. Now we add that works. That part is now introducing the systems into the business. And if there are no systems in place, you have to do the work. That means working a lot of hours. You have to do extra work because nobody else can do it. Have you ever used the statement, no one else can do the job as good as me? Or if you want a job done properly, then you've got to do it yourself. Those statements generally mean that you have no systems running in your business. And that means that you're running it yourself. When we look at systems, we use a very simple acronym. Saving yourself time and energy and money. Let me illustrate how systems save you time, energy and money. And this involves writing down each process, flow, each task and what a good job looks like. Once you begin committing things to paper, they become much clearer and less confusing. This all provides great clarity to everyone involved in each process and a clear understanding of what a good job actually looks like. This is also the first step on the path to being able to effectively delegate. First area of focus is the vision statement. We start with the vision statement. Where is the business actually going? This isn't about your basic goals. This is about the big picture of your business. And where do you want to go? Then we look at mission statement. Creating a mission statement tells us how we're actually going to get there. So if the vision is the future outcome we want to create, the mission is the road we're going to travel along to get there. Culture statements. Now you could call these your company's core values or your core beliefs. We need to write down the rules of the game in our business so everyone that works for us knows what to expect of them and how they should conduct themselves. If we're going to hire great people, we have to have great systems in place. Check out the ActionCOACH vision, mission and 14 points of culture and hopefully get some inspiration. Number 4, we look at goals. Then we need to set goals that are smart, specific, measurable, achievable, results orientated and within a time frame. We want to set SMART goals throughout the business for the next 90 days, for the next year and for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years and so on. A lot of people struggle with setting goals because they don't really know where they're going. And if you don't have a long-term plan in place yet, I strongly recommend that you start by getting your 90-day goals and build a quarterly plan. This gives you a very powerful set of goals and a detailed action plan for the next 90 days that can be stretched into a longer term plan as you progress. You'll find details of our upcoming growth clubs and 90-day planning sessions on our website. Anyway, back to number 5, an organisational chart. So now we're going to develop an organisational chart. What does that look like? Organisational structure of the business, when it's finished. What positions will you have? Who will be doing what? Developing an organisational chart for the future is a lot easier than said than it is done. Many people sit down to do it and think, crikey, I have no idea what the business looks like when it's finished. How many people should I have in there, and what on earth might they be doing, etc., etc. Do you know exactly what your future organisational chart looks like? This is where coaching can be an invaluable source of knowledge and inspiration to keep you building for the future vision of your ultimate company structure. Now, it could be that you have many positions that you're filling yourself, and that's okay. This becomes your recruitment strategy for the future. Your aim is to start to fill those positions and design yourself out of the business, or at least create the perfect role for yourself. Positional contracts. Then we need to create contracts for each person and position. Positional contracts define exactly what is expected of each employee. The clearer they know the job, the better their performance will be, and the more profitable the business will become. Key performance indicators or objective and key results. These then establish the key performance indicators for every position in every department in every division. You see, every part of the company needs a measurement of success so they can track their own performance against agreed targets and benchmarks. KPIs or OKRs allow us to identify areas of strength, areas to improve, and provide performance comparisons across the areas of the business. How-to systems. Notice that how-to systems are not included until point 8. This is why many business owners who try to put systems in their business often fail. This is because they haven't done the groundwork to get the systems to work. What's the point of having a systems manual if the tasks are not allocated to a particular role or function, or an organisational chart? Management systems. And finally, we establish management systems. A lot of the time, people want to leave their business. The reason they can't leave is there is no other management in the place. If we develop great management systems, great reporting systems, great meetings, and great ways of managing your people, ultimately we can bring all of the systems together to work effectively and efficiently. If you want to read a good book on how to implement systems, 9 ways of systemizing your business, I highly recommend Instant Systems by Brad Sugars. So finally, we get to the team side of things. So remember back to our definition of a business, a commercial profitable enterprise that works. Now it can work without you. Not that it has to, it just can. So if we're thinking about structuring a business so that it works without us, it means that it has to have other people. So what quality of team do you want to build? A high quality team, of course. So in order to do that, do we need to learn how to recruit the best people? Yes, we absolutely do. It's essential. But there's often a problem. Most people just place an ad and hope that the right person finds it and applies. And now that may have worked 20 years ago, but it's not the way the world works now. Look at elite sports teams. How long does it take for them to find and recruit the right team members? Yeah, it takes ages. Are they looking for players who are out of a job? No, they want the best, who are often already in a position. You see, the best employees often come from other companies. You have to go and find them. However, how quickly do high-performing teams get rid of poor performers? Yes, often in a heartbeat. Hire slow and fire fast is the advice that may seem a little harsh, but retaining poor performing team members that you've just recruited can be an anchor that holds you back and holds your business back from achieving its full potential, and can create disquiet amongst the rest of the team. I love it when business owners tell me, I'm really worried about paying for training my employees as they may choose to leave. To which I reply, you should be more worried about if you don't train them and they choose to stay. But we're also going to need skilled managers with strong leadership skills. But here's the rub. The learning work is the hardest work of business ownership. It's pretty easy to do the operational stuff, which is where many of the business owners retreat to when things get tough, because it's safe there, because you know what you're doing. But it's not where the business needs them to be. But these skills need to be learned, and that's where a coach comes in to hold you to account, to work with you, to press you out of your comfort zone, and so that you're focusing your work on the business. So here we see the cycle of business. As the CEO or MD or the owner of a business, your job is to take care of your team. You do this by giving direction, giving leadership, paying bills, staying profitable, paying wages, giving encouragement, building systems, and etc. etc. Your team's job is to take care of the customers with great skills, great service, great quality, and great consistency. The customers then support the business by coming back more often, spending more on each visit, and telling friends about you. And then in turn, this business supports the owner through profits over time and needing them to work less hours. In most companies, the owners try to run all three things, the team, the customers, and the business, and is run ragged trying to spin all of these plates. If instead the owner builds great systems, builds great productivity, invests in the future, does the planning and the owner's work rather than the employee's work, you start to build your team and business starts to take care of itself. Your team's job is then to take care of your customers. And here's an interesting fact. The quality of the owner's relationship with their team is directly proportional to the relationship between the team and the customers. If the customers are being taken care of by the team, they will take care of business by coming back, spending more money, and referring you to more people. So we have to get the cycle of business to that point, which ultimately takes care of the owner. So team building is a major part of business success. But why do we do it after systems? Well, it's pointless recruiting people into a business that is ineffective. This is how the entire process works. Layer upon layer and system upon infrastructure that provides a solid foundation for growth. Mastery is about getting the basics in place. Niche is about marketing, but we can't market until we have the basics as solid. Only then can we move into the systems as we need to create cash flow to create them. Only once the systems are in place can we build a team to operate them efficiently. What's the point of hiring a team if the systems are not operating efficiently? So then we get to synergy. This is where you start duplication. This is where you turn the business into multiple locations, maybe franchise it or license it. Up until here, when we get up to team, we've just been buying back your time. We've created additional cash flow to hire better people and to build better systems so that you can actually work less. At synergy, all of these elements come together so that their output is much greater than the combined inputs. This is effectively where freedom kicks in. And it's here you can begin to look at your personal growth and other opportunities. It's a pretty simple formula. If you have a better system and a better people, would you be working less? Yes, of course you would. If you had better marketing and better systems and better team, would you be making more money? Yes, of course you would. And if you've got better mastery of the basics of a business, are you having to put out fewer fires and able to do more proactive? Yes, absolutely. The first part of working with a coach is fixing the basics of business and the mastery foundation level. Once we've got the basics fixed, then it's time to do the fun stuff. Sometimes fixing it will take 2 months, or sometimes even longer, 6 to 12 or 11 or 18 months to get the business fixed. It depends on how badly you've messed it up, and I guess determines how long it takes to fix it. Ultimately, when we get to the niche, and it could take 3 to 6, 12 months, it could even take 2 years to get to marketing activities right and the cash flow to the level that you need it to grow the business. Then we go on to systemization. Again, it could take anywhere from 3 to 12 months, depending on the size of the business and the sophistication of the systems. And then we go into team building. Again, another 3 to 6 months. Look, it takes time to do this stuff properly, so it becomes a permanent part of the business. A lot of business owners are looking for the silver bullet. They're looking for one idea that's going to revolutionize the business. But the reality is that doesn't exist. You don't double your business with one idea. One idea doesn't add 100% to your business. What you need is 100 ideas that each add 1%. That's how you double the business. The small change and incremental performance and improvements along the way add up to a massive performance gains in your business. Just remember that 5 years of the 5-way chart. That massive jump in profitability was created by incremental improvements over time. Richard Branson is one of the most famous inspirational entrepreneurs in the world and said it very simply. If I teach you how to run one business, can you go and buy another business and do it again and again? If I teach you how to build and finish a business, you can run as many of them as you want. It all just follows the same system. Ultimately, you may be running larger, more complex businesses as your capabilities improve. It's just adding zeros. The journey is the same, but the learning of how to build and run a business takes time. The challenge is we didn't all have that broad variety of jobs that would allow us to learn all of the requisite skills to be a successful business owner: marketing, finance, operations, etc. So we had to learn it along the way. So how much will the knowledge we'll teach you be worth in the next 5, 10, 15 years of your business life? It's worth thinking about. One of the world's greatest philosophers, Jim Rohn, has published many books and mentored many successful entrepreneurs over the years. There's 2 quotes in particular that resonate with me. The first is, never wish your life were easier, wish you were better. So don't wish that business was easier. You need to commit to becoming a better business person. The business environment is becoming increasingly challenging. Global markets, increased competition, new technologies, and soon to be more taxation. It's not enough to be good now. You must be constantly evolving and adapting to an ever-changing marketplace. The reality of business is that the reason that businesses keep disappearing is that the owners don't keep learning how to change and grow and adapt. The second thing Jim Rohn said was, work harder on yourself than you do on your job, which I translate to work harder on yourself than you do on your business. You see, if you become a better business person, all of a sudden you start to build a better business, because the things that were hard have now become part of your skill set. And you know what? It isn't rocket science. Building a business isn't hard if you know how. The challenge is, how are you going to learn it? Are you going to read all the books? Are you going to do loads of courses? Most business owners don't have the time for that. But do you have the time to meet with a coach every week or every other week? Do you have time to have someone work with you to focus you on your development needs, as well as helping you to build your business? For most of us, the answer is of course yes. And as you can see from Brad Sugar's quote here, where you will be in 5 years' time depends on the books you read, the people you associate, and the actions that you take. Are you making the right choices for you? If you want to stride forwards in life and in business, make a decision and take a big step. But working through the 6 steps is a very clear and systematic methodology. Do you know what a lot of business owners find when I first show them the 6 steps? For the first time, they now finally have a plan and a framework, and soon learn how to get their business to work without them. For the first time, they now actually know how to make the business work so that they don't have to, unless of course they choose to. That's ultimately the goal and where we want to get you to. I just want to say a huge thanks for taking the time out to watch this presentation today. It's been great to be able to share some of the biggest secrets in business with you, and I hope you've taken some value away from the session. What I'd like to do is I want you to make sure that you write down your top 3 learnings from today's session and your top 3 action points that you'll take to build a better business. Please share these with me. I'd love to see them. I'd love the opportunity to chat with you about your business. the challenges that you're facing and the dreams for your future. If we don't already have a session booked in, then jump onto the website and book a call with me under the Let's Talk tab. Taking a free coaching session with me is the best way to determine if it's right for you. Feedback is vitally important to us, so we'd love to hear from you and your thoughts on today's presentation. Thanks again, and I'd be delighted to answer any questions. Please feel free to email me, stevegaskell@actioncoach.com. Thank you.